in the locker room. This is before the game ended. Before the game ended, she comes out in the locker room and posts this. Like, what are we doing?
Sitting there and I'm thinking to myself, is anybody on this team gonna stand up for Caitlin Clark? JC Sheldon grabbing Caitlin Clark all game, clawing at her. It's like tonight was a brawl, folks. Tonight was a brawl, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, is anybody on this team going to stand up for? And Sophie Cunningham.
The moment Sophie Cunningham locked in, the entire game spiraled. Caitlin Clark got a personal security detail, the Sun lost their composure, and the court turned into pure madness. Sophie wasn't responding. She was sending messages, one play at a time. This wasn't basketball anymore. This was dominance.
And let's start with the play that set off the entire night. So as you guys can see here, JC Sheldon is guarding Caitlin Clark. She swipes her in the eyeball. Caitlin Clark nudges her off because JC stays in her face. And then Tina Charles runs over and is kind of wagging her finger in Caitlin Clark's face. And then Marina Mabrey comes out of nowhere and chucks her to the floor. Now let's watch this in slow motion. Here, JC Sheldon is guarding Caitlin, swipes her in the face. There's one. Going for the ball, swipes her in the eyeball. Caitlin's gonna have to start wearing goggles. And then Caitlin pushes her off of her, like, why are you still in my face? Marina Mabrey, bad out of hell, chucks Caitlin Clark.
The moment Sophie Cunningham checked into the game, everything shifted. This wasn't about scoring anymore. It was about control. Caitlin Clark suddenly had protection, the physical play stopped being sneaky, and anyone testing limits got reminded real quick. Sophie didn't come to participate, she came to enforce.
Welcome to WNBA Fight Night, or as some people are saying, WNBA Raw. What a game that was. We had it all. We had basketball, we had fighting, we had blonde on blonde crime. Oh, such an epic. Oh, goodness. But at the end of the day, it resulted in an Indiana Fever W. 88-71, taking care of business.
At this point, Sophie Cunningham isn't just playing basketball, she's enforcing boundaries. Any extra contact on Caitlin Clark gets answered immediately. Whistle or no whistle. Subtle or obvious. Sophie sees it all, and the response is always the same. Pressure, presence, and zero hesitation.
Let's start here. This is, of course, Sophie and Sheldon going down the floor. Sophie tries to wrap her up, and Sheldon gets to the floor, and all hell breaks loose. And Sophie said, I'm not having it. I'm not having it. We'll go. We'll go. So there's that. That, of course, was all a byproduct of this right here, folks. And I mean, when I tell you social media is setting the WNBA on fire right now, not in a good way, that's the understatement.
This stops being basketball and starts feeling procedural. Sophie Cunningham dictates the energy, sets the limits, and applies pressure exactly when it hurts most. One well-timed bump. One stare that lingers a second too long. And suddenly the perimeter feels crowded, even when it's wide open.
Of course, Marina Mabrey is going to get ejected because that was unwarranted. She literally came out of nowhere and chucked Caitlin Clark. There should be a flagrant one, of course, on JC Sheldon because she swiped her and hit her in the eyeball. Whether it is intentional or not, you can still have a flagrant a flagrant foul called on you, whether you are trying to intentionally hurt somebody or not. But this is what they called, you guys. This is what they called. Caitlin Clark, Marina Mabrey, Tina Charles were assessed with technical fouls on Tuesday. Caitlin, Marina, and Tina Charles. Technical fouls. That's it. Technical fouls. That's it. And JC Sheldon was assessed with a flagrant 1 foul, and no players were ejected.
She doesn't react to chaos. She arrives before it's born. Like she already knows what's coming, Sophie Cunningham reads intent before contact. One tense glance. One extra step. And she's already closing space. This version of Sophie isn't built for chemistry drills or pre-game vibes. She's tuned into one setting only, zero tolerance. Anything near Caitlin Clark triggers an immediate response. No delay. No confusion. Just pressure applied with purpose. She's less teammate, more system alert, the kind that goes off before damage is done. While the rest of the league talks about flow and focus, Sophie is scanning the floor like she's auditing motives in real time. Opponents feel it. Coaches see it. Even officials sense the shift. One questionable movement toward Clark and the temperature spikes instantly. That's not coincidence. That's presence. The kind that forces hesitation and rewrites decisions mid-step. This isn't learned behavior. You don't coach this. You either have it or you don't. Sophie plays like the old-school guardians, the ones who treated space like property and disrespect like a personal offense. She took that mentality, modernized it, sharpened it, and brought it back without asking permission. No calm entrance. No peaceful routine. She walks into arenas like she's waiting for the moment the switch flips. And everyone in the building knows exactly what happens when it does.
I feel good, and Sophie Cunningham put me out on a high note, folks. I didn't even say, Ben, calm down, regroup. I didn't even say that. Let's get straight to the play. Everybody, the plays everybody is talking about. First off, Marina Mabrey body checking Caitlin Clark to the ground. JC Sheldon all over her. Riding her. Pokes Caitlin Clark in the eye. Oh, man. Caitlin Clark needs to start wearing goggles, folks. Caitlin Clark's going to need to start wearing goggles. Bumps up on Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark says, "Get your hands off me." And then here comes Marina Mabrey. Boom! Exploding Caitlin Clark like a safety coming downhill in the NFL. There was no flop there.
The league hasn't dealt with this kind of fearless loyalty in a long time. This isn't performative toughness or viral bravado. This is someone sprinting toward the chaos and daring it to escalate. Sophie Cunningham doesn't hover on the edges. She plants herself dead center and lets the storm figure out what to do next. And let's be honest about the backdrop here. Caitlin Clark didn't enter the WNBA quietly. She walked in with a spotlight so massive it turned every game into an audition for someone else's frustration. Awards didn't matter. Records didn't matter. To a lot of teams, she wasn't a rookie, she was a challenge. A symbol. A moving target. Some defenders brought competition. Others brought baggage. Old slights, built-up resentment, things that had nothing to do with Clark herself but somehow landed at her feet anyway. Night after night, it felt less like guarding a shooter and more like testing how much pressure one player could absorb before something cracked. What nobody planned for was Sophie Cunningham clocking all of it. Every extra shove. Every delayed whistle. Every moment where the energy crossed from competitive into personal. Sophie saw it coming before it happened, eyes locked in, instincts already firing. Like a predator that never blinks, never relaxes, never misses the shift in tone. They weren't just facing Caitlin Clark anymore. They were dealing with someone who decided that if pressure was coming, it was going to get returned with interest. And from that moment on, the math changed.